Good morning, everyone. Here we are again. Trying to get a little extra light here. It seems like it's so dark in here, though it is light outside. Right, Maddie? The gnats are out too. They're still out. The gnats are still out. And it's really odd in how when I'm sitting in here, the picture isn't really all that sharp. It looks like. Maybe it's just to me. Maybe there's just too much going on around me when I do this. Out of True Father's Prayer Book. Again, I'd like to remind everyone, these are prayers of a person to God about their own circumstance. And, of course, well, all right, let's leave it at that for right now. Please allow us to become a people that adapts itself to the laws of heavenly fortune. Oh, there are laws to a heavenly fortune? Are there laws to any kind of type of fortune out there? What kind of fortune are we talking about here? Well, I don't know. It's a very short prayer. Father, please look with sorrow at the present situation of this nation, and please remember it. From now on, Father, you will have to take responsibility for the destiny of Korea. Reverend Sun Myung-moon, obviously, is from Korea. He actually was born in North Korea, I believe, and then moved on to South Korea after a number of years, I guess, that he lived there. Now, don't quote me directly on that. It's also possible that he went from South Korea to North Korea to teach about Christianity, and then he was actually imprisoned. Horrific things that happen all over this country, per se, until it got divided and all that. Interesting history that this country has. And interesting on how God chose Korea with the second coming. Oh my gosh, what did you just say? Yeah. You know what? All I can tell you is that if, as a child, and people would talk about Jesus coming again, this, that, and how it would happen, and go, oh my gosh, but that's awful. That's just totally off. I'm not getting what? And then when I came across the divine principle and on how, at first, I went to a 3-day seminar. And on the third day, to learn about the divine principle. It's really interesting on how I got into that church. Now, growing up with God in my life as a child, just not knowing and knew and how important that had been for me with the spiritual guidance that, or spiritual influences, or the spirit life that I was so privy to as well, not just the physical life. I wanted to have the same thing for my children. I wanted them to have not just the parents teaching, but something else that taught them about God. And of course, church is one of those things. So when Christina, our oldest one, was born, I said, okay. My husband, the only thing that he would go to is, well, this is the only church I will go to. So I said, okay. Something's better than nothing. So we went, and I'm going, oh my gosh. And of course, I've heard it all. Oh my gosh, this is a cult, this is that, blah, blah, blah. But I followed my husband. And there was a 3-day seminar. So, okay, I'm going to attend that to get to know a little bit more about it. You know what? When you search properly in your life, God will guide you. Spirit world will guide you. Your angels will guide you. Your good ancestry will guide you to the right place. What you do with it with the information you're getting, the life that you are in or at the moment depends on where that's going. On the third day, being there, and I had to say, wow, yes, yeah, I was told the founder of that church, the Unification Church at the time, now it is the Family Federation for World Peace. I like the Unification Church still, yeah. I would like to think of that movement as the unification of all mankind under God. That's what I would like this movement to be called. But hey, I'm not there, okay? That's just me. To this day. And it's been 35 years since I have met the guidance of that church. And its founder, Reverend Sun Myung Moon, a Korean. A Korean that on the third day, I was told, was the second coming, the Messiah, coming in the footsteps of Jesus. Oh, and I had no problems believing that. There was no doubt in my mind that was true. Wow, was I brainwashed well in 3 days. Well, people can think that. It's 35 years later and I still believe that. Not only that, but completing the mission of Jesus from 2,000 years ago, where Reverend Sun Myung Moon did not end up on any cross, got killed, though people had plenty of ample possibilities to do so, but it didn't happen. Brought the blessing, the change back to God's lineage into our lives. And his wife is absolutely beautiful, absolutely courageous, absolutely the strongest woman you will ever meet on this earth. So, someone going to convince me otherwise? Good luck. It ain't gonna happen. So Korea. So on the third day, and Korea was the third Israel. What? Korea. Well, never really heard much about that country before that. It's not, okay. Well, one has to travel that journey on their own to find all the amazing things that surrounded that country in some ways, and all the really horrific things that surrounded that country. And the one thing that what one was told is that, well, one reason God chose Korea is that they have never fought a war against anyone. Yeah. So I went in after I studied Korea. I'm going, yeah. The reason they did not do that is because they had so much infighting going on between all the castes and this and that, nobility and the commoners and the slaves and this and that. They had no time to organize a war. That's basically the truth. So, yeah. And there are things that happened in Korea that were absolutely something of the best. And then there are things in Korea that are absolutely just the worst. Now it's divided between the North and the South. It's almost as if, whereas before everything was combined, it has separated. Is it good and bad? Yeah, I don't know. When you think of South Korea, you're looking at the people there. They're all free. They're doing whatever they want to. Suicide rate's quite high, not just among young people, but older people who don't want to be a burden on their young people. What? Okay. Then certain other things too, the expectations of education, when it comes to that, on how you have to prevail, on how people struggle to get into this. Not like it is here. You get into a college, this, that, and then really do well, and then they still can't find a job. And then you'll get, oh, okay, all right. And then here's the other side. Oh, by the way, also in Seoul, sex trafficking, women and girls, high, very high. Where parents abandoning their children, this high, way up there. Oh, that's South Korea. Oh, well, you guys go check it out. Huh? Here's North Korea. Okay, don't really know anything about it, but that country too, that part of the country too, loaded with people. So they're all bad? Oh, South is all good. North is all bad. Okay, right there. I think the reason True Father finally said, it's in your hands. This is in your hands, because we have lost sight of what really is important when it comes down to uniting a country. Right? When we look at North and South Korea, then we have to defeat the North. From our standpoint, we have to defeat the North. We do. There are no other ways to unite the families that had been separated. There are no other ways to learn from each other. I'm talking about the people now, not the leadership. There are no other ways? Well, what are those ways? Oh, we never really actually explored that, so we don't really know. All we know is people who defect out of the North and then have these horrific stories, which is all based just on their own experience, their own self, their individual. How come there's so little coming out of that country about how the families live there together, right? I mean, it's still happening. There's a lot of people there. Yeah. So how are we approaching things? I think True Father realized that it wasn't going to just happen with the people doing anything. By force, definitely not going to happen. So he said, Father, you're going to have to take responsibility. You're the one who's going to have to take responsibility. You are the one who has to guide us. Yes. And that is something I believe to this day. This prayer was 1971, September 5th, 1971. To this day, I believe that we still haven't really learned anything on how God is guiding us when it comes to unite, on how to really build up this force on something that is actually reality and isn't some kind of a, how do you call it, a figment of our imagination that we want so much to be reality, but it just will never happen because there isn't anything to build a foundation upon. You will never be able to breed a unicorn. It's not going to happen. There will never be an actual true boogeyman under anyone's bed. It's not going to happen. I could go on and on and on and on with, right? Yeah. This is a short prayer. There is no one who can lead this nation, and there is no one who can take responsibility for it. Only you can bring this nation into oneness with the direction of heavenly fortune. That is the Messiah of the second coming, talking to his Father in heaven, his heavenly parent, saying, there is no one here, including me, who can do that. There isn't. There has to be more intervention, per se. More understanding, per se. Coming from you. People need to be taught. People, maybe selected people, like me, maybe. Maybe the true children, all of their true parents' children. who each have a unique gift, this, that, maybe. I don't know. But True Father knew this is not, it won't happen with what we have here on earth. Because to have it on earth as it is in heaven, we're not going to be able to just do that from down here, from within here, the earth sphere. It's an interesting prayer. It's short. I think I know why it is short. It has so much content in it when you try to understand. So we earnestly hope and desire that you will act, Father, to connect our individual hearts and the hearts of this people, so that in the midst of your care, this people may find the direction that will allow them to become one with the will you desire. What does he say here? Listen to this one more time. So that in the midst of your care, this people may find the direction. I think that's just what I talked about before. Interesting. However great a person may be, there is no one who can block the way of heavenly fortune. Each time that we think that we should adapt ourselves to the wave of heavenly fortune and follow it, we ask you to fill to overflowing with your heart and the hearts of the many people leading this nation. And in the face of these final decisive circumstances, please reveal the one point where we must absolutely come to a conclusion about your will of the providence. We humbly pray all these things in the name of the true parents, Jesus. Amen. Adieu. Amen. September 5th, 1971. Common denominator. I've talked so many times about that before. Common denominator between the people is what will eventually change things in this world. Right things in the right direction. And all I can say, I don't care where you live in this world, who you are in this world, if the number one thing on your mind is not the safety of the children around you, the safety of the children all around the world, then there is no common denominator out there going to be possible to happen. And it doesn't matter where it is. You're asking for acceptance and this and that in all these different areas. It will not happen. It will never happen. Because the ones, again, that suffer most under it are whom? Because of whom? The heavenly direction that we have been given, I feel, the heavenly fortunes that you become. I said that yesterday where people have so many mental problems. I'm not talking people with intellectual disabilities, which, by the way, that's probably the new way of describing someone that is just a little slower, maybe this or that, or has different, it doesn't compute quite as everyone else in that little box, right? But they have a bigger box where they are really amazing in certain other areas, yet just don't quite fulfill your expectations. Right? People's expectations out there. People who set up lesson plans, this and that, not know what, right? On what makes you in this world. They don't quite fit in there. Intellectual disabilities. I've watched quite a few videos on Born Different. And I'm watching them and I hear them describe themselves. Okay, I have intellectual disabilities. I'm going, no, you don't. Actually, you do not. You just compute a little slower than others. But when you come to a conclusion, it's perfect. It's beautiful. It is wonderful. And it's not hurting anyone. So, no, I've come to the conclusion that people that we consider with intellectual disabilities move slower, have a limb missing, this and that, can't quite find other ways to do it, this and that, are actually the ones who don't have intellectual disabilities. They are actually functioning 100% perfect according to God's will and desire. Whoa. And often they have wonderful parents that took care of them. We're in wonderful places that they could evolve and develop to the best of their abilities. And I found, I think I just realized that, no, they're doing fine. They're doing all right. People who think they are normal. People who think they can look down upon people who aren't normal. They're the ones with the intellectual disabilities. And that's the majority of humankind. How about we turn this wagon around a little bit? Hey? Yes. Interesting? When you let heaven guide you, when you let heavenly fortune come upon you and guide you, you start to realize, what are people thinking out there? What are people doing out there? Where are people investing their energy out there? It's not in the heavenly fortunes. It definitely isn't. But as some people so do not like to hear it, you're investing plenty in your sinful fortunes. Yes. Yeah. Just depends on how you look at it. Yep. Anyway, that's what I wanted to share today. Whoa, True Father, are you, yeah, I saw something this morning. That just came back to mind. Where, there's this unity going on everywhere, really, when it comes down to it. Yep, you can be a part of it and just say, okay, then, come back to me when you do better with that. And, what are you going to do, right? If certain things, it's in the Bible the same, it's in the principle the same, it's anyone who says anything, it's the same. People will pick out certain areas and then just want to, I'm going to crush you with that one. I'm going to just teach you on how you're not right or how you are wrong. Okay, that's the same. Or how you're disregarding, if you like this about what this person said, then you need to like this what this person said. Well, if you were to put from years ago when I was talking and giving videos or just talking, on the scale, on where I am now 20 years later, for example, 30 years later, for example, then you would find discrepancies. But 30 years ago, you said, okay, well, wait a second. Yeah, 30 years ago, I probably didn't know what I know now. So you grow as you go. So you want to put everything on a scale, on what everyone says, especially when it comes, of course, to someone important like Jesus or True Father or True Mother. Every word is being written down. Everything's being recorded so that friends say, oh, that's a discrepancy right there. They say blah, 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 blah. And now they're saying blah, 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 blah. Wait a minute. So the people who are doing that, just ask them, the people who are doing that, who feel like they have the right to do that. So you are 100% guided by God's will and desire, and you have had figured everything out from the first day you were born, right? Right? You did not need to be taught how to talk. You did not need to be taught how to walk. You did not need to be taught how to go to the bathroom. You did not need to be taught, how to eat. Oh, I got it. In spiritual growth, it's the same thing. And what I found is if people have to start, if you got something going, your own thing going, and you have to keep harping around on a specific thing to say, well, I know I'm right because it's right there, it's not, and you are wrong. But if you have to continue to do that in order for what you believe in to have any hands and feet, then guess what? One shouldn't have to do that. Huh? I hope that what I give out there with my talking, with my videos, this is not about you are wrong and I am right. I hope that it's about teaching where you could go for a more fulfilled life, towards a life of unity within yourself, your physical and spiritual body, in your family, in your community, in your nation, and the world, on how we can work together better. Right? Yeah, well, but then you don't get to change the principles of creation or the principles of love just because you want to. Because then that will not be possible, ever. That is why we have to let God. That's why True Father asks God, you, Father, have to start taking the wheel in that particular thing, in that particular area. All I can do is just follow you, regardless of what I want to do. It's a good lesson. It's a good lesson, right? Yes. All right. God's love and blessings always, and I will talk to y'all another time.